Welcome to the first Summoner's Choice, where you, the community, got to choose a champion to be added to Marvel Contest of Champions. Out of 8 champions, Omega Sentinel, Morgan Le Fay, Ironheart, Hercules, Blue Marvel, Okoye, Dazzler, and Morbius. Only one champion rose to the top, and that champion was Hercules. This marks the very first time summoners got to vote for an in-game champion. It's not only historic, it's downright epic. There's a lot of passionate people and a lot of moving parts that goes into creating a champion, and it takes somewhere around 3 to 4 months, so a lot of time, care, attention, and love goes into that whole process. And to give us a little bit more information, I'm going to be talking with James Perry. He's one of the producers on Marvel Contest of Champions, and he's going to walk us through how the magic is done. Let's check him out. Jim, my man, the community has spoken, and you know what? It was really close. It came down to Omega Sentinel and Hercules, and I have a feeling those are two very different champions to create.
Yeah, they two awesome champions, and we were biting our nails because it was so close when it got down to the end, but they proposed 2 different challenges, which is sort of interesting from our end. It was either going to be somebody like Omega Sentinel, who was very VFX heavy and a lot of prop work, or it was going to be Hercules, which the players decided on. And it's awesome because now we have to somebody who's a little bit more in line with our animation challenges, places where we can stick nuance and character into the movement and just put a little bit more of the flourish in there. So yeah, 2 different paths were laid in front of us with this finals. But I'm really happy with what the players picked, actually.
How do we go from taking a champ from a blank piece of paper into a fully realized, playable champion in Marvel Contest of Champions?
Well, it starts really far back. It starts around the beginning of the year, and we do like a larger brainstorm of like what we want to work with Marvel to bring to the contest as a whole. I want to point that out first because that's where this idea actually came from with the Summoner's Choice, and we thought it was such an interesting concept to pursue and provide these sort of dev diaries with it. But at the same time, it lays out everything ahead of time so that we can keep up with the schedule, and that's sort of where our concept art comes from. For this one, we actually got some great concept art to work off of from Luke Ross, and Luke having recently worked with Hercules as a character. And when we go into our actual brainstorms for the characters, we tend to use the full might of the games and visuals team and sort of also start bringing to light a lot of the gameplay goals that we're going to try to achieve with the character in this discussion.
Oh, okay. So that initial design dictates how the champion is designed overall?
Not just that, it's a visual target to meet. So we'll get the whole game team and visual leads together, and that includes a member from QA. And we'll start discussing things like, you know, what is the lore of the character, the history, what version we're targeting. So that's where Luke's concept would definitely help out. And then we start also kind of thinking about what other inspirations we might want to pull from. The animators sometimes bring in outside sources from movies and cartoons and stuff that they've recently watched. And then we kind of decide from there what sort of champ this is going to be.
Okay, so we get in, you throw in a couple of animators, you throw in a champion designer, you stir it up, and then a champion pops out? It's that easy?
I wouldn't say it's that easy. It's not that cut and dry. But it's definitely a first important part of the process because we come out of that meeting with, you know, having agreed on the creative direction, but there's a couple extra steps that we go through. You know, for example, we get together with the VFX artists and we talk a little bit about the effort in front of them and sort of what they can reuse from their existing game library, or we have to focus on some of the things that they have to build from the ground up, and that's going to obviously take a lot more of their time and effort to do. And some of that will actually provide suggestions on how to, you know, proceed with the character moving forward. And then we come to a third point where we would get a lot of our engineering power together, and this is going to sort of help us tackle some of the more technical issues. So, for example, Spider-Ham required a toon shader, and to make this happen, we had to get everybody on the same page, getting our animators to inform the engineers about what they were looking for, and get the artists to sort of help inform the engineers what they're looking to get from this request and how we could also even potentially use it again in the future. And once we're all in agreement there, it's pretty much go time.
Well, go time indeed. And coming up next, we're going to be talking with KABAM Broccoli on how he plans on building this champion. So, Jim, thank you so much for taking us through this process and shining some light on the puzzle.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I'm just really excited to see what you guys think of this character. I mean, this is the first time that we've ever done something like this, so just know that your voice was heard, and we're really excited to see what you think of the character as a whole once they're done. It's going to be great, and I think if this process goes well, we'll definitely consider doing something like this again.
All right, I am here with my main man, Broccoli, in the house. You guys know him by his designs, Doom for One, Clairvoyant, and many, many, many others, including Strife. And we're talking about Hercules today. My man, how excited are you to be working on this champion?
I am very excited. With every champion, I'm always super excited to get in there and just try some cool stuff. Hercules is a really cool guy. He's got a lot of lore to dig through and a lot of cool ways to make his abilities play out. So I'm super excited to look on this today.
So what I want to know is attacker or defender or both?
Yeah, so for Hercules and a lot of champions, we always decide, one of the first things we decide as designers is it going to be an attacking champion or defending champion? And for Hercules, he's a little bit special to me. He's a champion that was voted in by the community. So in my perspective, he almost belongs to them, kind of like they own him. So what we want to do with him is, you want to play with him, obviously. He's your toy, he's your champion, you worked on him, you voted him in. Let's make it so players actually play with their toy. So he will have some defensive abilities, but for all intents and purposes, he's going to be an attacking champion. So yeah,
I like it. Now, design intentions. What are we thinking about? Because we talked about some animations with Jim a little bit earlier, and I wanted to kind of get your intentions and how you work that out with the animators and artists and all of that.
Totally, yeah. So for design intent stuff, we usually come up with a list of kind of goals, I would say, for the character. And they're very kind of minor goals, or nothing major, the kind of like brainstorm-esque type goals. And we'll bring those into our animation reviews and use those to kind of give ideas to artists to kind of what they might want to try with the animation stuff. We don't own any of that. We have no say on it. We like to give some kind of creative input as to what we might like to see. So for Hercules specifically, he's a very kind of skill-focused character. I wanted to capture that skill element. So I requested a lot of like forward dash, movement translations, such as like a Tiger and other characters like that, just so you can go for like lots of intercepts and kind of skillful type stuff. So while the animations weren't kind of decided by us, we asked for long-reaching type stuff, so animators kind of play with that. Plus, when we throw those ideas at them, they get really inspired. Like, oh, cool, what if we did this? What if we did that? And we kind of bounce ideas back and forth off each other based on kind of our requests and what the animators think that this could look like in the end.
Now you said a lot about skill, but I thought we were dealing with a cosmic champion here.
So Hercules is a bit of a weird one. I want to capture some skill moments. He's a very skillful fighter. He likes to do lots of like strength stuff and lots of like attacking enemies in skillful ways. He's kind of known for that. But he is a cosmic, so we're trying to capture kind of both elements. It's a bit of a hybrid style. So while he's going to have cosmic abilities such as like buffs and stuff like that, we're going to try to do it in a skillful type way with like intercepts and things like that.
Now, what are you most excited about out of all the things to build? Like, what's your baby?
My baby, it's always the loop, I would say, the core loop. Once you get something fun, you can kind of throw abilities where they're needed, find out what's needed in the meta, that kind of a thing. But getting that core rotation to feel satisfying and fun is always kind of the first thing on my list. And for Hercules, I want to try something cool with like rewarding skillful plays, such as intercepting and like players who can like punish the enemy special attacks with their heavy attack, but also giving regular players a regular rotation. They can just run through 5-hit combos, that kind of a thing, and still feel good. So it's kind of the trade-off there, trying to find a good balance, and hopefully it works out.
Okay, final question for you. I know you're very thoughtful about your approach in terms of solving a problem or solving a pain point in a certain area in the game. Do you have a focus on any of that yet?
I have a couple ideas. I would say it's still very early on. We just kind of got some animation notes down, but some of the stuff I've been prototyping is block breaking. So any mechanic that you can kind of break through someone's block is really interesting. Other things like stun immunity are fairly narrow in the game, so giving players more opportunities to just not get stunned by nodes like encroaching stun or champions who might stun through block, that kind of stuff. I always like to look at the data and see what are our players currently experiencing, and they don't have a lot of options to deal with. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to build my kit around right now. And block breaking is a big part of that, and just dealing with annoying AI. Plus, bonus point is Hercules is a bit of a prideful guy. I figured maybe a taunt could work in there somewhere. He taunts his opponent and kind of baits out their attacks. That also might help. So still very early, but I'm kind of hoping on that kind of a you control the AI a little bit more style of gameplay.
All right, well, I'm excited to see how he turns out and to see if any of those ideas make it into the final, because I know just from playing around with champions and being part of that process, that things can change from paper to final presentation in the game. So thank you so much for taking some time out for us and to give us this insight into Hercules. I can't wait to see what you do with him.
Same. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Well, there you have it, Summoners. Looks like they're doing a fantastic job on Hercules. Make sure to tune in on the next episode where we get to see the artists and the 3D modelers doing their thing to bring Hercules to life. So, make sure to click like, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and we'll see you in the Battle Realm.